Photo critique. Today we'll have an interesting episode. Sarah, do you care to explain why that this is going to be an interesting episode? I'm sorry. So, due to Sarah taking all the fun away from everyone and just having the most fun this past weekend, she's lost her voice. So, Sarah will be here physically, but not talking, and she'll be in chat. So yeah, we're sorry about that. But the fact that she's even be able to hear in any capacity is kind of impressive, considering Con Plague is horrible. Um, also, This episode we have Con Mom photography. I think we had you on for like episode 6 or so, almost exactly a year ago. So it's been a little while. Awesome to have you back on. Thank you for coming back. Glad
having me.
Glad you were like, no, that first time was terrible. I'm never coming back. I feel like, well, you've expressed a little bit. We've managed to figure some things out between now and then.
Mm-hmm.
Some things are still a mess, but some things are figured out. So let me get up these notes so I have the questions up here. So let's get to know a little bit more about Con Mom, or Alex. You're a cosplay photographer out of the Toronto-ish area.
Yeah, Toronto-ish. I usually just say Toronto because most Americans just know where Toronto is.
Yeah, easy enough.
It's easier to say. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like 40, 50 minutes away from Toronto. In a small town.
That's close enough to call it, yeah.
Yeah, it's close enough. Close enough.
So I'm like 20, 30 minutes-ish away from Milwaukee, and whenever people ask, I'm just like, Milwaukee, yep.
It's easier to say.
Yeah. So, Alex, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I am a photographer full-time. Well, try to be full-time outside of cosplay. So do a cosplay photography a lot, but I am a normal photographer. I do weddings, engagements, newborns, families, everything you can think of under the sun. I'm getting back into cosplay after a million years. So I've been doing some of that lately, but yeah, that's about it.
Cool. I didn't actually know that you even took a break from cosplay photography. That was news to me. I feel like it's just something that naturally happens to me over winter, that I'd never shoot cosplay photography, so.
Yeah, like there's points where, like, especially here, we had, I think, 3 snowstorms in like 2 weeks. So like, there's no point. There's just no point.
Yeah, I had school canceled more than I've ever had it canceled in my life over the past couple of weeks, because we've had like 3 snow days and 2 cold days. It's been ridiculous. The cold days were even more, yeah. The cold days were even more ridiculous because I did you get hit by that cold?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
it was minus 40 Celsius.
Yeah.
I think at one point where I just didn't go outside.
Yeah,
no way.
so we got mildly freaked out because we got that same weather, but then our power went out, and we're just like,
oh my god,
could you not power? It was like the entire street though went out, so it wasn't like just us. So we're just like, there's nothing we can do about this. Fun.
No thanks.
Yeah, it was hilarious because like literally as we were about to leave, because we're just like, it's cold in here, I don't want to be here. The power came back on like after like 4 hours, and we were just about to leave because we were like, screw this. And then like literally we were leaving our garage and it came back on, and we're like,
oh god.
Okay, sure, whatever. Okay, I have more questions. I just have to, where did I put that goddamn tab? Okay, there we go. So how long have you been shooting and that can both be just in general or for cosplay photography.
General for like serious, probably over 5 years, and then cosplay 4 years, but haven't like gone like really into cosplay photography. And probably the last 3 years, I think I've gotten really serious about cosplay photography.
Gotcha. Cool. And then how would you get into shooting cosplay?
So my best friend Digirin, a lot of people know her. Um, her and I started cosplaying together like 6, 7 years ago. And then I was thinking about going to school for photography. And then she was the one that told me, she's like, you should get into cosplay photography. I was like, I don't know. And then I started shooting. And then if it wasn't for her, actually, I wouldn't be into photography. She's the only friend that said, I don't like your photos right now. I'll shoot with you when you get better. And if it wasn't for her, no, I was so glad she said it because then
Fucking
I would have
Digi.
no, if it
No,
wasn't
it's
for her, because also she was shooting with Dawn. So like me with like a shitty camera, didn't know how to use it compared to Dawn, I was like, okay, I gotta get better. So if it wasn't for her, I definitely wouldn't be where I am to this
well,
day for
hey,
sure.
if it worked, so that's awesome.
I'd rather someone say, "Hey, I don't like that," than to like say like they lie or something. Because
Yeah.
like I'd rather get better. Like I have to just say, I finally figured out after like 10 years how to dodge and burn properly. I just
Well,
couldn't get it.
I mean, half the time I'm like, oh, I'm really good at this. And then I get to one photo and I'm like, what even is dodging and burning? I'll like try and I'm like, wow, that looks terrible. I don't know what I'm doing at all. So, yeah, that dodging and burning's hard. So,
It's so
no
hard.
shame in taking a while to learn that one.
I'm so glad I got it though.
Because I
I
feel
did.
like dodging and burning, like, takes knowledge of tool sets, but like also requires like knowledge of like uh, the human, like how the human face, how light works, and like a little bit of
Yeah.
makeup as well. Like there's just so many things that are required, I feel like, to like manage to do dodging and burning well, and
Yep.
it's hard. I love
It's
Ara in the
very
chat. Oh my god, Sarah, we miss you. I want Sarah to have a whiteboard so bad.
should have got one.
Okay. Do you well, obviously you already answered this, so I will skip over that one. What is your favorite thing to shoot?
This was such a hard question because I thought of some beforehand, but um as of right now, anything Zelda related for sure because like I'm obsessed with the game right now. Is like I'm actually playing Breath of the Wild than to finish Kingdom Hearts 3.
I,
Like
I would
it's
be great. You're like, I'm actually playing Breath of the Wild right now. Like I've got the TV right up here, so if you see me going like this,
I mean my Switch is right there. But no, yeah, anything Zelda and then besides Love Live, I still love my Love Live girls. I'm trash, I'm disgusting, and I love it.
I am not a Love Live fan.
I know I can understand why, but those idol girls, oof, oof, can't stop.
Okay. Do you prefer cons or location shoots?
I'm so sad this is even a question
I'm waiting.
on location.
I'm waiting for the one day where someone's like, "Man, I just really love shooting at
You know
cons."
what? You know what? I lie. I lie. There's one con I will only go to just to shoot for that convention is Otakuthon because it's downtown Montreal. But like the
Hmm.
Digi photo,
Yeah.
that's Otakuthon. That's the only con I'll want to shoot at. But technically, it's not at the con. It's like outside. But yeah, on location for sure. For
Cool. Yeah, there's a couple. Like I always say that like I prefer location shoots, but I also kind of enjoy the challenge of cons. As long as the
oh
con
yeah,
as long as the con isn't too terrible. Like cuz
yeah,
there's some where you're just like, "Oh, this con just like the location sucks so much that like it doesn't matter. Like I can be as creative as I want and these photos are still going to blow."
yeah. Like I'm kind of glad I've been to Katsu so many times because I'm used to shooting in such limited spaces because Katsu's so packed. Well, used to be that it kind of like forces you to like think outside of the box and find locations that would work differently, different
Yeah,
stuff.
no, totally. Speaking of KatsuCon, both you and I did not go to KatsuCon this year. Sarah was the only one. They must have charged your voice as admittance to KatsuCon. uh, from a lot of people, I heard that this year's KatsuCon was a really good. I know from
It looks so fun.
I've heard from Sarah that it was a very good one, as she's saying in chat. She said 1,000 times better than previous years. Well, more than 1,000. I just got lazy after the last few zeros. Um, uh, yeah, no, I've heard that it was really good, and I am super bummed that I missed it. My prediction was actually that, well, part of the reason why I didn't go was that I was predicting this KatsuCon to not be a good one. Turns out
Mm-hmm.
I was very wrong. So
Same.
I'm happy for the people who went that it was great, but also I'm like this is checking Instagram stories and being like, oh, oh
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
damn it. But I mean,
Oh,
I knew that was happen. That was
uh,
gonna happen.
in chat, we're flipped. I'm Sorairo-Days.
Oh my god, what the hell? This happens every goddamn time. Hold on. I was complaining about
No,
this before chat. Uh,
I was
we,
just
we we we
Sarah.
we can fix this. We can fix this real quick. Hold on. Um, it always flip flops on me, and it's really weird. Where are you, con mom photography overlay? Boom.
She's a con gremlin.
And it's like nothing ever happened. Perfect. Cool.
Sarah, con days.
Um, so Alex, how do you go approaching a shoot?
Well, if it's usually typically if the location's already picked out, like for conventions and stuff, talk to the cosplayer, see what they're doing for the con. I usually look up reference pictures, and then I look up poses that could work with the character, and then but now recently I've been asking the cosplayer to send me pose ideas because I've been a little burnt out on poses
Yes, that's
because
solid idea.
I do everything, and it's getting a little hard. It's getting a little hard to think of
Yeah,
everything,
I think my problem
especially
is
when you have
like
like 10 shoots and you have to think of poses for all those 10 characters. It's a little bit difficult to
I
keep
end up
thinking.
recycling poses. Like
Oh yeah.
there's no doubt that I do that. But
Yeah, it's hard. So yeah, like asking the cosplayer, and what I've been doing recently too is actually I look at their social media and see their posing, even on their selfies and stuff, and see typically what their angles are, and like especially as selfies, if they're the same way, then you can kind of tell what their angles are and what they prefer.
hmm,
So I try to keep that in mind,
that's really
and
solid advice.
yeah, because like I again a thing from Digi, and then my friend Atome Junkie, they have their own certain sides. So I kind of got it from them too.
Yeah, that sounds like really, really awesome advice that I'm gonna be too lazy to follow, but I love it. I was
Yeah, I'm
like,
too OCD when it comes to like organizing shoots. Like
it,
I'd make like 10 million lists.
it's funny because even if I do that stuff, I always like forget it the day of and go back to like my same style of shooting. Um, I also
Mood.
followed for Anime Milwaukee. I was asking cosplayers. This is advice from Riley or Ches Photo last time she was on. That she was saying that she asked the cosplayers what they enjoy about their cosplay, like what their favorite part of the cosplay was. And I'm like, oh, that's
Yeah.
really good advice. And then I asked that, and then like before the con, and then promptly when the con rolled around, I'm like, shit, I forgot. I forgot what I responded with. I'm a terrible person. God.
Oh my God.
It's good
That's like
advice.
me and names.
Yeah, it's
Can't
like it's
remember
great. It's great
names.
advice if you actually remember it, and then you can do
Yeah.
it.
Keyword remember. Remember.
uh, it's probably something that I should ask, like as Oki Cosby put it, like during the shoot, because then it would be fresh in my head as opposed to like from like a week and a half out.
Hmm. Hmm.
Okay,
Yep.
so Alex, what's one cosplay you've always wanted to shoot?
Okay. So it's not a spoiler. I made sure it's not a spoiler. But the opening scene of Kingdom Hearts 3, when Sora is on the water, I want to go to Utah. I want to go to the Salt Lakes. I need the perfect Sora. Sora from Kingdom Hearts 2 outfit. It has to happen. I'm I'm gonna figure it out, but I need to do it so
That'll be
bad.
so hard to do. And I'm not saying that like getting that shot. It's that
Oh no.
those salt flats.
It's the Salt Lake thing.
Yeah, the salt flats are only like that for like a certain period of time. Like you have to go like
Yeah.
when it rains, and then it'll be like that for like a day or so, from my understanding, and then it dries
Mhm.
back up again. So like you you have like such a small window to make it happen. I would be in awe if it actually happened. So like that'd be amazing.
I would like to do it. I would like to figure out how to do
Yeah.
it. It's I as soon as I saw that scene, I'm like, I need to. I need to. I
Well,
need to do
I wish you absolutely the best in making that happen.
it. Thank you.
Okay, Cosby in chat. Bring a water bottle. Make it happen.
Well, I could do it like in a studio with water too, but that would be
Yeah.
so
Yeah, I
hard.
feel like it'd be real hard
And
to
then
make it
like,
look convincing.
yeah,
Trying to
either
think.
way, it'll be very hard to do.
I think honestly, if you, it's like one of those things that I feel like if you time it out right and you're there at the right time, I actually think it would be like a really easy shot to get. But just like
Mhm.
it's like a logistically really hard shot. But then like once you're
Yeah.
there, it's like it's such a beautiful like location that it's like, well, it's pretty hard to fuck this up. Like it's
Yeah.
gonna work out.
Yeah.
It's just you just gotta
I'll figure it out.
make it happen in terms of
I might
logistics.
try. Might try this summer. Who knows?
Okay,
Try.
last question. Not really a question, but what's one piece of advice you would give to photographers, either beginner or otherwise?
Oh, I wrote it down. I wrote it down. I was like,
You're just like, I don't
I
know.
wrote it down. Okay. Um, it actually kind of reminded me of when Neil did the phone pictures. Um, it's not about the gear, it's about how you use it. Because there's so many phone pictures that look goddamn good. Like, stop. But yeah, that's what I would say.
Awesome. Yeah, I don't get it as much as I used to, but still sometimes hear people like, "Oh, it's an awesome camera, but it takes good photos," or something to that extent. But thankfully, I feel like
I
that
still have
that
so many guys judging me for having a camera. It won't stop. It'll never
That
stop.
sucks. That fucking blows. I'm sorry.
It happens more here in Canada, so.
That sucks. Shit just bums me out. Why do people have to be terrible?
And then I just look at their pictures and be like, oh, okay.
Then you're like, I feel vindicated right now because your photos suck. Mine rock. Yeah, I feel like sometimes those people that are kind of like boisterous and judgy, and have expensive gear, they kind of suck. There's one person in particular I'm thinking about that's in the Midwest, and those from the Midwest know exactly. They should know exactly who this is, but oh god, it's just that he's a walking reminder that money cannot buy you skill. Let's see, and that is done with the Q&A section. Couple things, pretty much same as normal for the start of every critique. If you have people that you'd like to see on as a guest, let us know. Keep in mind the normal stipulations of preferably someone in the North America region. Just mostly because time zones, and it's a lot easier to coordinate with people that are in the same time zone as us. That and there's some people that I would love to have on, but I actually I've never met them, and I actually have no idea how their English is for like European photographers. So just in general, like if you have suggestions, maybe try and keep it to North American photographers. And I think I had something other to say there, but oh well. Keep in mind, there's some people, I feel like this has been brought to light now that with recent occurrences in the cosplay photography, some people can have good photography but also be douches. So just do a little digging and don't recommend us people that are in fact fucking douche canoes. Because we've got a couple people that we have been suggested that we're like and yeah, nope,
don't
not
invite
having
pedos.
them on. Not even pedos, like, but yeah, yes, no, none of those, but also just people that are douchey. No, none of those people either. As always, if you're enjoying the show and want to see this continue, your support is greatly appreciated. Donations are always appreciated, but not expected. But they go a long way. Also, subs are wonderfully appreciated. God, stop it, Mallow. Subs are also greatly appreciated. If you have Amazon Prime, that means you have Twitch Prime. That means you have one free sub per month. And if you don't have anyone to give it to, why not here? We appreciate the love, and it helps a lot in keeping this thing going. Yeah, and with that, let's thank you Flaunty Mars for the Twitch Prime sub. Appreciate it. Thank you. Before we jump into the critique, we had a bunch of submissions this time. I think, jumping immediately out of two large cons, one large con and one small con, we had more submissions than normal. We only do 12 photos per episode. So if your photo is not in it, know that it's not like we removed it. They are going to be carried over into the next episode. So know that will be coming up soon. I'll post the Flickr link to all the photos that will be going over to in the chat. So if you don't see your photo in there and you submitted, it just means that you submitted after these ones, and it will be in the next critique. Also, just as a note, if you submitted one and it's not in this critique and you want to change it out for a different photo, that's just fine. Just resubmit a different photo, and I'll know to change it out. So not a big deal. I think that is everything. Let us jump into some photos. Okay, this first one is from Stucky Media. Alex, do you want to start us off here?
Yes. Oh, that's not the one I have open. Whoops.
So the first one is the file number that starts with the 1.
I realize that now.
I'm just being sassy. I'll try to
Oh,
post every the Flickr link to all of them in the chat as they show up, but yeah.
okay. Well, for one, I love the colors so much. I love how the mask, the lips, and the glove, the gloves are all like close to each other. I really love that. Like I love the Harley Quinn black and white, black and red. I know
What
colors.
what even are colors?
Um, no, I really like the background too. Like it makes her pop a lot. Because
Definitely
if it
agree
was
on
like,
that.
yeah, like if it was like a even just a white, I feel like it would have been too much. But like that grungy-esque background, I find it works really, really well with making her pop. Um, I really, really love the catch light in her eyes. Um, the the whole picture, like the way everything is composed, kind of like leads you into the eye, and then you go down to her arms and kind of see the rest of the photo. Um,
It's
I
funny
really
that.
like.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're fine.
But I just really like the lighting in general. Like it's like the highlights on her skin are really evenly lit. Like everything just looks nice, especially the wig. Like the wig has really nice highlights and shadows, so it's not
Mm,
like obnoxious like wig light, if that makes sense. Like you could tell when
no, it
something's a
totally
wig
makes
and it's like
sense.
uh,
It's funny because I feel like because I've looked at so many wigs, like my brain some has like accepted wigs as looking real. So like my perception of whether something is a wig or not has like totally faded because I'm like my brain's like, oh, all these things should be real because I don't know. Sounds stupid, but I feel
yeah,
like my
like it should
ability to detect what is wig and what is not wig has gone down.
make sense. It makes sense.
Does it though?
Totally.
You're laughing. You're like, yeah, sure, Andrew. That makes perfect sense.
um I'm actually not mad that the elbows are cut off. Like it's not as distracting
I think
as
just because of the pose and where they are, it doesn't feel particularly bad.
yeah, because I think because they're all like it's she's all together and not like if she was more spread out, I feel like then yeah, if the elbows were cut off, I feel like it would be a little bit more distracting. But the way it's cut, I quite enjoy it. Quite enjoy the photo.
Yeah. I One thing I want to loop back on is the catch lights.
Mhm.
It's really interesting. The catch lights are in a very different place than I feel like you'd see for a normal photo. Like they're like below and shooting
Yeah, they're not
up.
like high.
But I feel like that needs to happen for this photo to get like a nice-ish light on her face because I feel like shoot above, you catch shadows off the mask.
Mhm.
And you wouldn't get as clear of a look into her eyes. Um, excuse me. So I feel like that worked out well. One thing that I would do personally is her. I imagine this scene where this was being taken was probably very dark. The reason why is her pupils are very big. Um,
Huge.
yeah. So that's something that can often feel a little weird. Uh, I sometimes what I'll do if I'm shooting in a dark area and I know the cosplayer's pupils are going to be huge because it's very dark
Mm.
is before the shot I'll be like I always keep a flashlight in my bag, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna blind you for a hot second,
Oh my
and
god.
I'll use the flashlight and point it towards their face so that their pupils will close down a little bit, so that they're not as huge. Um, and that can help rectify the giant pupil syndrome you get from shooting in very dark situations. Um, I will read some of Sarah's comments in the chat. She was saying that I think the composition is a bit weak, or the pose for this composition isn't the right one. Kind of get where they were going, but it's unfortunate that most of her cosplay is being hidden by her arms.
Yeah, that's
Um,
true.
yeah, I would agree. That yeah,
I think
you
for like the character, she's lacking in the expression because Harley Quinn's fucked. Like she's
you're not
fucked.
wrong.
Like
Yeah.
I think if she was smiling like a huge and then had
Mm-hmm.
crazy eyes, I think the image would be a lot stronger because she's kind of dead in the eyes a little bit.
Mm. Ara brings up something that I thought about when thinking this, where she said that she would love for the photographer to have choosing to liquefy. I
Mm,
agree strongly. Kind of her side of her body. I just think that the cosplay is just grabbing her a bit, and especially with the pose, just like that's a quick fix in liquefy. And I don't think any cosplayer would ever complain about you doing a quick liquefy on the side there
yeah,
just to create a better like line silhouette. Um,
yeah.
yeah, and it would be a really easy one.
Oh yeah.
Um, Another thing, I agreed with the grunginess of the photo. I like that feel. Um, that said, I think maybe take the brightness of the background down a little bit so that she pops just a little bit more, and kind of I think you could almost up the contrast in the background to make it look a little grungier, cuz like it looks like
Yeah.
you've got a really nice grunge texture going on, but like I think you could amplify it a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Um yeah, this Sarah says this pose makes her feel a little scared and timid, and yeah, it's kind of, I'd say it's just a a little just cute. Like it's a cute pose, but just doesn't feel quite
Yeah.
right for the character. It's not particularly a bad pose. It's just not quite right. I think this is also a kind of pose that I would have gone more for a vertical shot, so that you could at least have gotten more of the cosplay in the photo.
Yeah.
Um, do. Yeah, something I know Oki Cosplay in the chat mentioned earlier is framing wise. She wishes that the shot was she was a little bit more to the right. Right now, it feels like
Mm,
she's kind of fighting from being in the either in the center or to the right. Like neither one is
like
fully
just
committed.
off.
I would just like have her be more fully to the right. And honestly, I think that's something that just you could solve if you wanted to crop this photo down just a little bit.
Yeah.
Cool. Sarah, you have any final thoughts that you want to bring up? uh, okay. Any other thing on this one, Alex, before we move on to the next one?
Hungry.
Awesome. Let's move on to the next shot. This one is from Barry, and it is some Breath of the Wild. So, Alex, you should be happy on this one.
I am. I've seen this photo before.
Oh, really?
Saw the set before. Oh
Awesome. Uh, I right off the bat, like, I don't know if this is an overlay or not, or if this was like done in camera, but whatever it is, I dig it. That kind of like soft,
yeah.
like overlay effect that's coming out of the bottom right is just doing wonderful things for this photo. It in fact
Mhm.
I don't want to say it makes this photo, but I just don't know if I would like this photo nearly as much without it. There's
Yeah.
it's not that there aren't other good things going on, but it just like really pushes up the softness level of this photo and makes it really dreamy. Um,
Mhm.
I also really, really like the expression on the cosplayer. You know, Link is not I'd say, Link can be expressive, but oftentimes Link is not very expressive, but yet I feel like
Yeah.
this facial expression manages to kind of have that subtle expression that feels right for Link as a character, that I really enjoy. um I also really don't know what's going on in the background. Like, it kind of feels like maybe is mountain. I don't know. It's so bokeh out, but I think that works for the dreamy atmosphere, and the fact that it looks like vaguely naturey. It could be anything, and it would work. That's totally working for me. Um,
Um,
Go ahead.
Sorry, just because like I know the person who took the photo, like I know his editing style. He doesn't really edit a lot.
Hmm.
Yeah, like he does strictly mostly Lightroom, and
Interesting.
it makes me mad. But because like if you like, I'm just zooming in the eyes and just framing the face. It's like so sharp, and I'm like, ah, his eyes are so beautiful. The way he did eyes is just like, I hate you so much, Barry. But
Um,
sorry.
no, you're
Say.
fine. Don't even worry about it. Um, some things I think and this this definitely has to go into editing. Some things that I would change with this shot, or editing in post, is I would do some digital ironing on this
Yeah, I was thinking
cosplay.
that too.
Especially
Yeah,
on the
this
arm, there's just this one big crease where it looks like you could see where the fabric had been like folded at one point,
yeah.
and it's not particularly a hard thing to edit out. There's a little bit of it kind of on the torso where I would have also done some digital ironing, just
Hmm.
smoothed out the fabric a little bit. Um, I mean,
Like I would have even gone in the paint on the arm isn't even. I would have just
yeah,
evened it out.
yeah, I agreed there. Like, I all right, I apologize on behalf of all cosplayers, myself included. Um, yeah, I mean, in an ideal world, a cosplayer has a chance to like steam or iron their cosplay before they put it on. Like, that would be the best case scenario, so that no one has to worry about this.
Yeah.
Um, if you PSA, if you're a cosplayer and your cosplay is wrinkly and you're about to go out, just like iron it or something. We photographers would appreciate it so much.
Hmm. Hmm.
um yeah, Sorairo-Days, not Sorairo-Days. Sarah in chat says buy a steamer. It will save your life.
They're cheap, and you can get travel ones.
Yeah. I and you won't regret it, because like some photographers will edit out your iron or your wrinkles, but not everyone will, and you'll be happy that you did it, and your photographer will be happy because then they didn't have to think about it. Everybody wins. It's a win-win
Yes.
thing. um okay, back to the photo and not talking about that. The one thing that I wish was this photo was, I like the head position. I love kind of that turn looking off in the distance. I think the eyes are really solid in this shot. The torso
Hmm.
is where I have problems with this shot. The fact that we're like perfectly sideways to the torso,
Yeah.
if we had them turn just a little bit so that we could see their shoulder, their shoulder that's away from the camera, and their arm, I think it brings a lot more life to the pose.
Yeah.
Um, just right now, it feels a little uh odd, I guess. Just kind of,
Yeah.
it's not.
It's
It makes their like figure not an interesting shape. It's just like there. You know what I mean?
yeah. Yeah. I completely agree.
Um, Also, like, just kind of the way that the costume is like poofing out on the back to the right, like it kind of like makes the shape of the cosplayer like look a little bit bigger. So like if you could like, have them pull that in, but also just like have them turn so you can get some like negative space underneath their arm, and then you see their other arm. It just makes a much more interesting shape, and makes more for an appealing photo.
Yeah.
Um, uh, oh, okay. We get the backstory. Let's read this here from BTSE Photo. Hello, everyone. The backstory behind this shoot was during a Sunday at sunset, and she only came to con for 1 hour. Basically, the photo shoot due to her school restrictions, so she had to rush to get to the con. I mean, that's relatable. I feel like so many shoots at cons involve rushing to some extent, whether it's
Yeah.
rushing at the con or rushing before the con, or whatever other different degree of rushing. Just like rushing happens. So, yeah. um, let's see. Okay. I thought I had another. This is another case. Like I think that the cosplayer's skin looks pretty nice to begin with, but there is some additional
Yeah.
retouching I would do. Um, I think you could actually
Yeah. I
edit the.
would I would retouch the face.
Yeah, the eyes actually look really, really good to begin with, but I would take them just a little bit further. I think you can make them pop even more.
Oh yeah. I really like
Oh
I just want to
yeah.
edit this photo so bad. Because I know Barry and like his style, like his editing, it's like the fact that this is like not heavily edited is astounding.
Agreed. It's it's a really pretty shot though. Like it's dreamy. Barry, if you could say what con was this at? Like what is actually happening in the background? I'm
It's from
curious.
Texas, I think. Texas Con. If anyone wants to see the rest of the photos, I'd go to his Instagram and look at the rest of the photos. They're gorgeous.
Cuz like
Like golden hour, it was oof.
this
Oof.
does not look like a con shoot. Like if it kind of almost looks like you could have like photoshopped in the background. Like if the blur wasn't so convincing, I would have been maybe like photoshopped background, but I definitely do not think that that is the case.
Oh, looking at these other photos.
Rocky Mountains at Anime Bonsai in Layton, Utah. Okay, that I'm glad to find out that these are in fact mountains in the background. So it means that my brain was not going crazy. Good, good. Yeah, that's a freaking awesome location then for a con. I want to go there. Jeez. That sounds like an awesome place to shoot. Like if that's your background, hell
Yeah,
yeah.
he got there's I'm shocked he didn't put in the photo. There's actual mountains in the background. Very.
I love how you say it's sculpting. Like Barry, come on.
I'm looking at it now. I'm like,
You have any other thoughts on this one, Alex? Before we move on to the next one,
no, I'm good.
Sarah, you got any thoughts? We're just gonna do that every time, and Sarah's just gonna be like, "I hate you, Andrew." Okay. Okay, let's move on to the next shot. This one is also Zelda, but from Flower Wolf. And Alex, do you want to start us off on this one?
Yes, once
I should just say
I
before you jump
get
in,
there.
um, as you have noticed, Sarah is not talking is not going to start off any photos today, or really she's really just going to be providing feedback in the chat for very obvious reasons. If you weren't here at the start of the stream, I'll just reiterate, Sarah has completely lost her voice, so she is chat only for the rest of the stream. So just in case anyone was confused by that, I just wanted to reiterate. Sorry about that. Alex, go ahead whenever you're ready.
Okay. So, I love the colors so much. Like it's I also know the photographer that did this too. They're not a photographer, so I know. They are a cosplayer. They don't even own a camera, so I know. I asked way too many people to submit.
Hey,
Um
that's fine. Just fine by
so
me.
think this was her first real shoot. I think like this is like
Freaking
her
better
dicking
than
around with a
my first
camera.
real shoot.
I know. I'm like, can I have your skills? Oh, I love how the blue and the yellow of the costume and the red just pop because the background's just so dark. Oh, not dark, flat and like gray. Um, I love the pose. Um, yeah. The only thing is, I feel like there is a little bit too much negative space. Um, it's kind of pulling away from the subject, but for like the first for like a beginner, like this is a pretty strong
Yeah.
photo for sure.
So I'm actually gonna say that I don't think that the problem is necessarily that there's too much negative space. I just don't think the negative space is balanced nicely. Like,
Yeah.
so this often happens, and I feel like this is a fairly, and no offense meant by this at all, beginner thing that happens that I see where the head is at the very center of the frame.
Mm.
Um, and rarely is that actually what you want in a photo. Because oftentimes the head is the focal point of the image, and having it in the very center just makes for kind of a boring composition. I think you could actually like make this photo more interesting, just like if you did like a square crop. I think this photo works, but the reason why I say I don't think it's the negative space is if you back up a little bit and you shoot this with the same framing but even more negative space up top, I think that also works.
Ooh.
I actually think you could
Yeah.
make this photo work by like just like crop, like just here, I'm gonna just try and see if I can't do this and do like a really tall crop. Um and just do like in Photoshop just like a content aware fill of the top. Let me
Mhm.
see, hold on. Give me a hot second here. See if I can't do this here. Do okay. This
She
is,
is like a graphic artist too, so she knows how to
yeah.
use Photoshop. So I
Yeah.
feel like she could have, to what Mallow's saying, she could definitely composite a sky.
Yeah. This is the laziest and sloppiest way, but this is what I mean by it, like the negative space in this shot. Like if you extended this so you have this really tall frame and you have this way her head is falling on
Ooh.
this third, you then have
Mm,
an interesting photo again, but like the composition works better instead of having to crop it down. Um,
yeah.
so just that's another thought for saving this composition. Um, doo, doo, doo. Sorry, go ahead.
I just love the blue. That blue and red together just works so. Oh, I gotta talk to her. How does she get that blue like that?
It's
I don't know if it's the costume, like, because I saw the girl who wore the costume, and I don't think it was that blue.
it's funny because I feel like the yellow, like I don't have any problems with the blues and the reds. I
No,
think it feels
I
a
love
little.
it.
If you feel it, there may be a little jarring given how like not saturated the background is, but they don't particularly bother me. The yellows feel a bit strong to me, especially in the wig though. I feel like the
Mhm.
the saturation just has gone like a bit too high on specifically in the yellows. Um,
Yeah, agreed. Because it kind of like mixes into the costume, so you can't
mhm.
really.
I do love the fact that beginner photographer touching color grading, really
Hmm.
awesome. Um,
Hmm. Yeah, her actual costume is not that blue. I had to look because I love that blue so much.
pose wise, the one thing
Love
I'd
it.
say about this shot is it's a solid pose. Um, I would lower the arm that is off to the
Oh,
right of the frame because
yeah.
it's so high. I understand compositionally why you framed it that way because you wanted to get the arm in there nicely. It would have worked better as a horizontal, but there's the whole like nature of the area not being great to take a horizontal shot with. So I just have had the arm lowered so that you could like frame her a little bit more center.
Hmm.
In general, I have the policy of if the cosplayer is looking like out like that, I want the her to be looking across the frame and not out of the frame. What I mean by
Yeah.
that is her her head is on the left third of the frame and she's looking off to the left. If her head was on the right third of the frame and she was looking to the left, that way she looks back into the photo and across the photo. So your eyes don't leave the photo because generally our eyes want to follow the gaze of the person in the photo. So your eyes kind of want to leave the shot. That way you
Yeah.
can have the looking off, but then your eyes don't really leave the photo.
Hmm. Yeah, you're
Sometimes
kind of like,
sometimes it can work. It
you're like,
works, but
where is she looking? What is
yeah.
she looking at? A guardian? Are they gonna shoot her?
That can be a cool effect sometimes. Like that is hardly a rule. Like you can break that with great success, but
Yeah.
in general, I think especially for this shot, I would like to have seen it her looking across the frame instead of out of it.
Agreed. Agreed. I know this is kind of like nitpicky, but the green thing in the background, I would
I,
have just taken that out.
I've photoshopped that out of several photos before, so
Yep.
yeah,
Mhm.
especially since it's kind of like small and out of focus. That should be just like a real quick clone stamp to remove it.
Yeah.
Um,
And also the bridge because it's a little too modern and just keep like
yeah,
the trees and stuff.
I honestly, if it were me editing this photo, I think it would be cool to like totally edit out all the buildings so it looked like you were looking out kind of like the ocean and there was nothing there. You know, it was like water immediately into sky. That could look cool.
Hmm.
But yeah,
Hmm.
get rid of the buildings and the bridge as well. But
Agreed.
if you're not going to take it that far, at least get rid of that little green sign.
Yeah. Yeah. Just yeah.
um, yeah, or as
Yeah.
Sarah says it,
Agreed.
or at least desaturate the green.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Oki Cosby says, I need an iron emote. That would be great. Uh,
Yeah.
I unfortunately I only have the one emote, and I'm pretty sure I can't get any. Like I can add like, from my understanding, I can add more emotes, but like for higher tier subs, and no one should be subbing to me at that high of tier. I ain't streaming that much. I ain't worth that. So maybe one day I can add more emotes. We can dream. That'd be great. That'd be a great idea for an emote, though.
I like that. Iron emote. Oh,
Okay. Any final thoughts on this one,
I'm good.
Sarah?
Good.
Sarah?
Fuck.
Sarah just strangles me after the stream. Okay, let's move on to the next shot. Um, this next one is from Fate Cosplay with a Y, not cosplaying Fate, but Fate Cosplay. Let me get that link for you guys in chat. Um, oh, I'll read this before I get into this photo. This one is
Yeah, she's
this
not a
comment
photographer.
in chat. So this is my photo taken in Korea Park during November. I didn't organize it or anything. I was just shooting what I could be given the opportunity to learn and try. I took it in between the shoots. The photographer was taking it, did minimal editing because I lack editing skills. I watched mom stream and learned. Oh, hell yeah. Um, I've also been watching a lot of YouTube tutorials to lately to learn new critiques. That's awesome and commendable. And I think the fact that is the case, that the photo turned out this way, is freaking great.
She shoots it on a D90, by the way.
I don't know Nikon cameras as well, so like
It's a very, very, that was my first camera. It's a very old crop sensor.
it's funny because a couple streams ago we had someone that shot on a submitted a photo shot on a Canon Digital XT, which was my
Mm.
first camera, and that digital DSLR
Oh,
is from like 2003. So I was like, what the hell? Um, I really am digging the colors in this one.
yeah. The reds are just so nice.
Yeah, the reds are nice. It's got that real nice balance of reds, yellows, and greens. Like this is a pretty park. Like
Yeah, the
whoever.
park that she's talking about, it's like a Japanese style park.
Mm,
It has like a Chinese, not Chinese,
yeah,
like a
because this is
Japanese
Japanese.
temple area.
Yeah, I was gonna say this is Japanese maple, and those leaves are always so pretty. Uh, and super fitting with the cosplay too.
Yeah, because it's an
Um,
autumn viewing costume.
so I will read Sarah's comments in chat. Um, Uh, I think the composition is very nice with tree. I love how it curves off the top left, leading your eye down to the cosplayer. So beautiful. That being said, I wish it had been taken a bit lower so I could see more of the cosplayer's legs. But other than that, it's a really beautiful composition. Um,
Agreed. Agreed.
totally. I 100% agree. I kind of think it would have been impossible. Because if you look at the bottom of the frame, it looks like there's something there that would block you from shooting this any lower. In fact, I would
Yeah,
actually have cropped that out because whatever it is just kind of this weird like white piece at the
yeah.
bottom.
She just said it was the bottom of the
Yeah,
fence. She
it's
hopped over.
if I screen share here, it's a lot easier to kind of see it when it's not like leading up with the bottom of like a white frame. Um,
Mm. Yeah.
yeah, it's tough because like yeah, you couldn't have gotten that nice composition with the line leading from the tree right into her, that the really nice curve. Um, so sometimes you win some, you lose some. Uh,
Yeah.
I think maybe you could crop a little bit of the top of this image. It's pretty tall. I kind of like that, but I think maybe there's just a bit too much negative space up top that I'd
Mm.
that I'd crop in on. It's hard because I think it's like the details up there are quite lovely, so I feel
Yeah.
bad totally losing them. Um, if I were in that location and shooting this, something I would like to do is have it zoomed in. The shot just zoomed in a little bit more, so that or maybe even if you step to the left, so you were shooting a little bit more to the right to not have that fence in the background. I don't think the fence is probably like the least appealing part of this photo, and like if you could just like get it out of the frame, that would help. Um, uh, I think the colors are my favorite part of this shot, though. For
Yeah, the reds for sure. The reds are so pretty.
yeah, they've got like this kind of like pinkish red hue to them. That's just really lovely with the green. I think like if it weren't these pinkish reds, I don't think they'd go with these super saturated yellow greens as well.
Mm.
Um, but because they are this kind
Olive
of
tones.
pinkyish red, it works really well. Um, I don't know. I kind of feel like the cosplayer is like almost looking at the photographer, but not really. That's another thing that feels like a little odd. I don't know if you
Yeah,
agree. It
she it
feels like
looks like she's kind of like looking over her
yeah, it
shoulder
looks it
instead of
looks like
at
yeah,
the
like
lens.
looking like right over here, like really close, and I only feel like you notice that if you look at it for a little bit. Would have
Mm.
loved it to have this pose to have eye contact. Also, the other thing is I don't know what
I
this is
think
shot at. Go ahead.
I think she if it's a D90 and she's probably using a kit lens, it's probably the lowest f-stop would be a 4 or 5, I
Yeah,
think.
you can get much bokeh out of that. In fact, I think that the fact that there even is kind of like
Is
any sort of lovely blur is kind of impressive. Let me see if I
Yeah.
can pull up the details of this shot. Um, it was shot. Oh no, it was shot at 48 millimeters at f2.8 on a D90.
Oh wow. Oh wow. Good shot.
Um, what I would say there is then this that kind of confirmed something for me is the photo is just a little bit out of focus on the cosplayer.
Yeah.
Nothing
It's a bit
egregious,
soft.
but it's just a little bit out of focus.
Mm.
That's always hard because I feel like that for me, like, so much of learning how to get shots in focus is just learning to like take a photo over and over again so you make sure that you have one in focus.
Yeah, like I even to this day, my all my shots are not tack sharp.
No, God no. God no. I probably have.
Make it till you make it.
Yeah, no, that's a big reason why I shoot like uh a bajillion shots of
Yeah,
every
me too.
single shot that I take. I'm usually taking like at least 4 shots of it, just so that
Yeah,
I
me too.
can make sure that I have one in focus. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, and it's interesting. I'm not really sure. It could actually have been just a little bit of shutter blur as well, because this was shot at 1/60th of a second at crop,
Ooh,
so
yeah.
that's probably like around what, like 70-ish millimeters on full frame. So like,
Yeah,
yeah,
probably
75-ish millimeters. So you just get like a little bit of um
70.
uh just crank that ISO up like one stop so that you can get a little bit more shutter speed. So that you're not getting quite as much blur.
Mm.
It's harder with older camera bodies because the um ISO performance usually is not nearly as good. So you kind of have to
Yeah,
watch it a
sure.
little bit. But especially for people who are shooting on more modern cameras, just
Mm.
crank up that ISO so you can make sure that you're not getting a blurry shot.
Mhm, 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 mhm.
Got, got any other thoughts on
Uh,
this one?
um, I think, well, because she shot this in November, and because I know what she's learned and what I've taught her, like recently, I think she could take this photo and make it even stronger.
I'm
Um,
excited to see, like, if this is where like you were kind of starting off, like, hell yeah, that I can't wait to see where you end up going from here.
yeah, like, because like the highlights are so strong, it your eyes kind of go right to her waist. So like, if she were to like tweak it slightly, if there was, I'm not sure if she shot this in RAW or not, probably not, but to tone the highlights down and like crop and do what like we suggested, I feel like the image would be pretty strong.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Okay.
but for first time and being a cosplayer and not a photographer, great shot.
Yeah, hell yeah. Any other thoughts on it, Alex?
I'm good.
Sarah, any other thoughts? I was hoping I could ask that while you were not at your chair.
She
uh,
disappeared.
just she's gone. Okay, let's move on to the next photo. This one is from Jung77. And Alex, do you want to start us off on this one?
Okay. Okay. Okay.
I know, right? Like every time we start a photo, I'm like, I gotta get everything up and make sure I know what I'm talking about.
The photo just loaded like it was dial up for me, so I'm a little worried right now.
Hey, at least you're
It's like
coming through.
scrolling. Um, One, I need to know what this is from because it looks like idols and they're boys. So my aesthetic.
Looks like
One.
idols. I can
Idol,
smell the idols from here.
idol-ish 7. Okay. Keep noted. Noted. Um, I love the location for it. Like it's so bright that because like the contrast from the light and dark makes them pop really, really, really well. Um, Trying to think what to say. I just love their poses. I just want to know what this is from so I can watch it.
Um, Oki Cosby said something that was gonna bring up, and totally agree. Is for groups like
Oh,
this, is it
yeah.
better to shoot at a high f-stop? Yes, 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 absolutely, yes, 100%. Something I was looking at setting wise for this shot, it was shot at ISO 60 6400 or not 6400 640 my bad, at 28 millimeters, 1/800th of a second at f3.2. What that says to me is you've got a lot of balance that you could flip out. You don't need 1/800th of a second for this shot. You probably could go
No.
down to like
Ooh.
1/200th of a second and allow yourself to get a lot more depth of field in this image. So you could probably shoot this around like f8 or so and get a lot more depth of field. Um,
Yeah. Especially because in group shots, you want to make sure that all of the group members are in focus, unfortunately. Because, like,
yeah.
if it's because, like, I think for this shot, it's like I feel like they're performing. I think that's the vibe that they're going for. Because they're
Hmm.
like all looking off camera, like as if they're performing. So maybe having them all in focus would have been good. Unless there was like some sort of like
They
other
said
thing they were going
I
for.
only had a few minutes with them, so I just did their usual promo group shot.
Okay.
Sarah says, I love the lighting in this shot. I agree. I like how soft and kind of bright this shot is. It gives a very
It's very idle.
cheery and fun vibe to it.
It's very idle.
Um, Sarah says it fits i7, which all I think of i7 is the
Oh.
Intel Core i7 processors, so that means nothing to me.
The,
Yeah, it's
yeah, the
that
expressions are great.
yeah. I wish, especially the frontmost cosplayer, I feel like
Mm.
that pose could feel a little bit more dynamic. In fact, I feel like all the other cosplayers are looking in one direction, and that front cosplayer is looking in a different direction, which feels a little odd to me. Um,
Yeah, I'm
so
looking at the picture that they linked
yeah, there's a
that I
reference
think
photo
that they were
pasted in chat.
trying to reference.
Yeah,
The
I definitely think if you had um the leftmost cosplayer facing the same direction as the front cosplayer, I think it would
yeah,
read better.
that's what it's like in the reference photo.
Yes, yeah, that's how it is in the reference.
It kind of looks like yeah, because it feels like it's too right side heavy, especially like the way that the left person is looking like above the center person. Kind of almost. It looks like they're looking above.
Hmm.
They should be looking the other way.
I don't know. I think maybe also I want that cosplayer who is leftmost to be back
Hmm.
a little bit further to kind of balance
Hmm.
out the frame a little bit. Because right now it is just a little bit left heavy, and if they were further back in the frame, I think it would balance that out a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, yeah, I think how soft it is really kind of works well for this shot.
Hmm.
Um, Oh man, we're waiting for Sarah to type response. Okay, this is a bit picky, but I see chromatic aberration. Yeah, that was something I was also going to bring up. You get a fair
Oh,
amount of
is that
chromatic.
the like the haze, the
Yeah,
blue haze thing?
there's a
Is that what
fair
it's
amount
called?
of
Okay,
chromatic
that's
aberration
yeah.
around like the window frames, and around like some of the hands and
And the right to like the right corner of that pole
yeah,
or whatever that is.
yeah,
It's yeah,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
on there.
Just kind of those halos that happen on things. Uh, that's something that's fairly easy to fix too. Like,
Yeah.
you just go into Lightroom and go into the settings for color fringing and chromatic aberration, and you play around with those, and you should be able to fix a fair amount. Um, so that should be able to fix some of that weirdness there.
Agreed.
Um, trying to think. I don't know if I have any other thoughts on this one. Alex?
A little tad nitpicky. The left hand side, that purple, or if there's people in the background, there's those colors. There's a little bit of orange and a little bit of purple.
Oh, okay, yeah. I
Just would
actually,
have like desaturated
wow, I
it
feel I feel
a little
disappointed. Normally, I'm the one that goes to Nitpick Town, but Alex is
bit.
Alex is taking us there today. I'll screen share so you guys can see it.
I've got a big monitor. I can see things now.
So those two areas, yeah. Even if you just like desaturated, those colors are like kind of
Yeah,
green.
yeah, desaturated
So
it would have been.
let's zoom out so you can put frame of reference. Boom, that area. Okay. Sa- Sarah, any thoughts on
Feels
this one?
so bad for Sarah.
I do too, but I also love teasing her. I'm just gonna laugh at the end, like final shot. She just like comes on the mic and is like, "Fuck you."
In the most raspy man
Yeah, just
voice.
like, yeah. She just sounds demonic.
Oh my god.
Okay, let's move on to the next shot. Sarah dies. Okay, this one is from Geek O Photography. And let me grab that for chat here real quick.
Why is it loading like I have dial up?
I have no idea.
I'm a little
There you
worried.
go, chat. Um, cool. Um, I don't know if this was shot at a con or on location, but if this is at a con, this is a damn cool location for a con.
Seriously.
Uh, and also fits like the location fits perfect for this cosplay. Like it's got this, this Victorian-esque cosplay and just kind of, everything in the background kind of like plays into that feel. Um, dig the kind of like haziness of the light. Kind of, and that works well with the flowers to give this like kind of warm, summery feel. That's just really appealing. Um, just the glow in the mood is really nice. That said, there are definitely some things where I think this photo could improve on. Um, I wish the cosplayer, as Sarah actually just said in chat, is they kind of popped out a little bit. Um, uh, the cosplayer luminosity wise is pretty similar to the
Mhm.
background, so they're not really popping out very much.
Yeah.
Um, and I would love to see it where with a little bit more contrast. I almost said contrast. Um, a little more
Oh.
contrast between the background and the subject. The other thing is, I would love to see the composition taken a bit more interesting. This is something I feel very similar to the Zelda photo earlier with the subject being like dead center in the frame. Like the
Yeah.
whole of the torso and the head is like the center of this frame, which is a fairly uninteresting composition. Um, I think you improve this real quick. Like I feel like the photographer was taking the right steps. The camera is not at head height. It's at kind of like between like waist and knee height, so you have like an interesting angle here. So I think if you just step backwards a little bit, you get the full cosplay in here. Um, and you move her up just a little bit in the frame, I think you have a much more interesting photo. Coincidentally, since you probably can't reshoot this, I do think maybe just cropping out a little bit of the top of the frame would help, especially if you're trying to balance the lighting in the frame, because then you could theoretically crop out like the brightest bits of the photo, which are this sky that's being blown out, and like the top right,
Yeah.
which is just this pure like white. That way you could like crop out most of that, and it would be easier to kind of balance the background and the subject without having to worry about those peak brightness areas going.
Yeah, for sure.
um what do you think about the pose?
It's too right at the camera. It's
Yeah,
too straight.
it's weird.
Like
I'm
if she
like,
was doing more of like a she was holding the book but turned a bit and had her shoulder more towards her chin to be more like that, because it seems like a what do you call it, a timid character.
yeah, I have
So
no
just
I
having her
yeah, I have
her
no
turned and just a little coy, I guess.
yeah, I have no idea about the character or
Yeah, either
who it
way.
is. But to me, I feel like right now I get this idea of this character almost like they're like some sort of like doll, or like very
Oh, I
little.
think it's, is it like from, oh, I looked it up. It seems like it's I had to. I think it's an anime based on a Victorian doll.
It's interesting because I was getting a fairly doll-like feeling from the character, because they
It's
felt
almost like
very,
Rose and Maiden.
yeah, very not emotional, like kind of like the face does have some emoting, but like there's almost no body language in this. Um
Sorry.
and if it, I just want there to be a bit more interesting shapes going on, because right now it's just dead on to the
Yeah.
camera with the torso. I do like that the way that their gaze is going, it follows the line of the wall.
Yeah. The only thing I wish is that I wish she was in focus.
Also, side note, god damn it, Mellow. Get out of here. Um Stop. Bobo, not you too. No. Bad. Bad. No.
Everyone knows her secret.
It's time to stop. Okay. I do love that the gaze is looking in that same direction. I think it would actually have been even more powerful if they were on like the right third and their gaze was falling along that line. I think that would have been really,
Ooh.
really made for an interesting composition.
Yeah.
Um, Also, I think I saw Sarah mention this earlier in chat. Is the color grading on this? I think there's a ton of potential to do some really interesting things with this photo. You've
Hmm.
got those
Hmm.
the awesome like purple colors in the flower. I just think
Oh,
you
that
could,
purple's so
yeah,
nice.
you could go some really cool places with this photo. But and it's not bad right now, but I think you could definitely take
Mhm.
it to even cooler places.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Cool.
Deal.
Any other thoughts on this one, Alex?
I'm good.
Sarah? Awesome. I just love looking over and seeing you go. Just this tiny head check. No, I'm good. All right. With that, we have hit our short break. So we will be back in 5 minutes. But while we're on break, we have a job for you, chat. So when we come back, we will be doing a Q&A. But in order for us to give answers, we need questions. All right, I know she's had one since the beginning. So yeah, we'd love it if you guys thought up some questions for us so you could ask them when we get back. So we will
Please.
be back very, very soon. See you guys in about 5 minutes.
Eh. Oh,
Mello
sorry.
coming in hot with the best question ever, which has been on top of everybody's mind. Would you shoot a cosplay in Walmart? I mean, depends what aisle, I guess.
Um, I don't know if Canada would allow that.
They'd be like, sorry, you can't shoot here,
Yeah, you don't have a polar bear license, eh?
eh?
Get your token. Get out of
Okay.
here,
Okay.
poser.
I know a bunch of you guys were asking questions during the break. I'm not gonna be able to get to those unless you repost them. So, if you want us to answer those, please repost them because I am not going to be able to see them unless you do.
Oh, excuse me.
Uh, Ara asks, or wait, let's see. I will read this. R says, words of advice for an amateur photographer upset that cosplayers are not sharing their work to the public social media. How should the photographer react? What can they do? Um, man, that's a hard one. Um,
Wait, they would
it,
cosplayers don't share the
yeah,
photographer's work?
if the amateur cosplay photographer is upset that their work that they took of the photographer or that cosplayer hasn't shared it. Um, that's relatable.
Yeah,
Um,
happens to me all the time. It still happens to me.
yeah, I think the biggest thing is you just need to not get discouraged because like sometimes people aren't going to like your work even if you worked with them. Sometimes they will like it and just forget to share. Um, and it's super awkward to ask them like, "Hey, why haven't you shared it?" I think the biggest thing is you just gotta move on.
Yeah,
Um, dwelling on it's only gonna make it suck for you. And if that cosplayer doesn't want to share your work, then maybe after like one or two times of working with them, and they're still not doing it, then it's time for you to move on from that cosplayer too, because maybe they just aren't a
yeah.
good fit for your work. It's hard. I think the biggest thing is d- don't don't prescribe anything to malice that you could to an easier option, which is to say either they weren't a big fan or they forgot or something. Usually someone's response to not sharing a photo, very rarely is it like, oh fuck that photographer, they suck. It's rarely that.
Mhm.
So yeah. Oh, Bobo puts another thing is sometimes the cosplayer is unsatisfied with their cosplay, so that could be a reason why they
Mm,
haven't shared their photo. That is a very legit thing.
yeah.
So it could very much be that. So just you just gotta accept it and move on. Uh, uh, she wants the Deoxys asks, do you have any tips for quickly posing when people ask for photos at cons? Um, I'd say that's generally speaking more towards cosplayers. I'm not a cosplayer, but I still feel like I have an answer to that. But I'll let the someone who's cosplayed more than me answer, i.e., Alex, because
Uh,
even though Sarah,
Shoulders back, butt out, proper posture, so you don't look hunched over.
I think that yeah, the biggest thing is just have some like poses on deck for yourself.
Yeah.
Practice them.
I've actually, I always have a thing where, if you're like just walking around like the convention and people ask you for haul shots, always to have 3 or 4 poses in mind beforehand,
Yeah,
just so you're like, oh, already I know what poses
yeah,
that I can do on the spot, and that when you're looking for photos too, that they're not all the same.
yeah. I think having 3 or 4 poses, not even that you've thought of, but like locked down, like you are
Mm,
happy with how those posers are going to be before you even left for the con. Like that's going to make sure that like you're going to be happy with those poses. So,
Yeah.
um, just definitely have those thought of before you even go. Um, uh, BTSE photo says also having poses ready on your phone helps a lot, and I would agree with that. It's really nice when you get a shoot and a cosplayer's like, "Oh, I would love to do this idea." Sometimes it actually backfires because like sometimes anime poses are real stupid and human bodies don't go that way, but more often than not, it's helpful.
Mhm.
Um, Oh, this is an interesting one. From Kelvin Sai, how do you balance satisfaction with your work and delivery to clients? Now that's a hard and deep question. Um, uh, Alex, do you want to go into that one? Because I feel like
Um,
you shoot more with clients than either Sarah or myself.
yeah, so typically it sucks though because it's my editing has changed so much that I'm slower at editing now. Like I used to get my photos within a couple days after the con to the cosplayer, but I think trying to think of how to say this.
So while you're thinking, I will kind of answer
Yeah.
my thought on it. Is um, number one is that you have to think about like when someone is paying you for work, their opinion is more important than your own opinion.
Yeah.
And in terms of getting satisfaction out of your shoot, that like it's not that you shouldn't be getting satisfaction out of your shoots, but like if you might not get satisfaction out of every one of your paid shoots, and that's fine. You can have a lot of free shoots to balance that out, and where you're picking the things that you really want to work with. And same thing with paid shoots. Like if you're worried about that, make sure that you're picking paid work that you know, like if you're so worried that you won't be able to deliver because you're not going to be like satisfied with it and you need kind of like to be working with something, make sure that you're picking like clients and cosplay work that you know you're going to be able to deliver well on. um
Yeah.
because sometimes like for me my biggest thing is like I've been approached several times for like paid shoots of groups, and I'm just like, look, like I could charge you more, but I'm not good at these. Like I'm not going to provide you quality photos for groups. Like they won't be bad, but that's not when you look at my work, you're not seeing group photos. That's not what you're like interested in me for, and I'm not going to be able to deliver excellent group photos. So you maybe like I don't want to like lead people astray and like be like, yeah, let's bring in the group photos. Hell yeah, more money for me, because it's just not my within like my strong skill set. Um,
Yeah.
so just sometimes just turning down those clients that you feel like you won't do well in can help. Um,
I also find that to make the customer happy, having communication with the cosplayer is huge. Like I know I'll message a cosplayer like, "Hey, I'm just letting you know I've started your photos. I usually give one preview like right away and be like, "Hey, this is where the photos are going to be. I'll let you know when they're done or halfway through." Just having that communication, they kind of feel cared about instead of just being like the con's over. They have no idea when your photos are coming. So at least having that communication, just sending them a quick message, just shows that
Communication
you do.
is awesome. Like,
Yeah, just shows you care.
because they've paid you money and sometimes they can feel like, are they actually doing the thing? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. So it's hard, but maybe not a great answer, but it's as good as I'm getting. Um is there any other question that I missed that was scrolling past? If anyone wants to post a new question in chat, I am not going to like scroll through and look for one. um because there's been a lot of chatting, which by the way, thank you guys, you've been awesome in chat so far at this critique, and it definitely makes it a hell of a lot more fun when you guys are here critiquing with us. um
Ooh, I found a question from Lou. This question's
okay,
interesting.
Sure, go for it.
How long how long does it take you to edit one photo back then and now? So I'm assuming like versus like when you first started to now.
Um, uh, wish I could say I've gotten faster, but I've only gotten slower.
Yeah, I've gotten
Big
slower now
yikes.
too.
Um, so, um, it's funny because I feel like for most people you go like, oh, skill set, like the more you work on something, the faster you get. But like I think in photography, especially for this, when you're working at like higher end stuff, like there's so much more you're looking out for, there's so much more you want to do in a photo, and like
Hmm.
the list of things that you're doing per photo builds up and up and up. um I think my average right now is an hour to hour and a half per photo.
I
uh
think depending on the subject, it can go from like half hour to like an hour and a half.
Yeah, it depends. Like, if it's something where I'm like taking a color profile that I've already done for like a previous shot and applying it, it's going to take me a lot less time. It'll probably be like, 30 to 45 minutes. But like I look at it and
Hmm.
I'm like, okay, so I've got my process where I go in it. And first thing I do when I bring in a photo is, well, let's assume I've already gone through Lightroom because like I barely even count that as editing at this point.
Yeah.
So I bring it into Photoshop. I make a selection of the subject. Then I do my retouching. And then I do my dodging and burning. Um, and then I do my color editing, and then I do my liquefying. And by the time you've done all of those steps, you're just like, holy shit, I'm like an hour into this photo. And then I usually will have to at some point go back a step and be like, okay, I don't like how I dodge and burn this now that I've been sitting on this a while, or I forgot to retouch out this specific area, especially if it's
Hmm.
fucking wigs. Goddamn wigs are a nightmare.
Long wigs.
Um,
Uh,
yeah, especially like there's so many things that uh we let slide. I feel like in terms of retouching that like as you get more into it, the less you are willing to accept it. Like specifically like flyaways with wigs, or just like general like cosplay things where you just like used to be like, oh, that's just their cosplay, yeah, it's fine. And now I'm just like, no, the photo needs to fix all the cosplay problems.
yep.
um so yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I'd say maybe my editing time used to be around, like at the very beginning cosplay photography, it was probably around like 10 to 15 minutes, if that. Um
Yeah, I think mine was like super like a couple minutes. Be like, damn, done.
um okay, let me see. I'm not sure if I understand this question. Is it criticism of the photos taken by you? Oh, I think the question mark came in early. If not,
Hmm.
do not counter the author's rights. I'm not sure if I get this
Yeah,
question.
I don't get it either. Are they asking if like you've given permission to use the photos for the critique?
Yeah, maybe um I rephrase that and submit it so I can understand. Oh, are you asking for us? Yeah. In order for people like if you're asking about the critique, like how we get photos, people have to submit photos. Like we don't just like randomly pull photos and be like, haha, critique time. We just found some random cosplay photographers' photos and we're gonna critique them.
Yeah.
Oh God, no, that'd be awful. Get out of here. Yeah, no, that would be bad news bears. Okay. Any other questions for us here, guys? I'll scroll up because I think there was some more that were asked before we got back from the break. I'm trying to scroll up and see if I can find any, but like, oh, I think there was one about glasses, like how to deal with shooting with glasses on, and um how that should be dealt with,
Uh,
and so I know someone asked if they should pop out lenses if their cosplayer has glasses on, or their character has glasses, and yeah, that's what they do in movies. It maybe is a little weird because you don't get the reflection, but god damn, it just solves so many problems not to have glasses on for a cosplay. Um, but in general, just like the biggest thing is think about reflections. Cause so like a reflection is always going to be like the equal and opposite angle, to you. So, if you have a light, if you're like shooting to the this way and you have a light right here, and it's just gonna bounce right off the glasses back into your camera lens. Just kind of think about those angles, and it'll work out. Um.
yep. Yep.
Oh yeah, as Sarah said, if they are fake glasses, ask them to pop them out because they are usually more reflective than real prescriptions. Yes, yes, absolutely, 100%. Um, if they're fake glasses, yeah, you definitely just take out the lenses. It's gonna look better for photos, or maybe even not. Like I think there's potential for the reflections to look good and be believable with a photo that'll look nice, but god, the trouble that they cause is not worth it for the most part.
Yeah.
Okay, come on people, I feel like there was a lot of questions. No, you guys are dying on us.
Ooh, I'm liking.
I scrolled all the way up, can't see anything. um Have you ever dealt with a picky cosplayer? And how do you handle that professionally? Um, it really depends on, I feel like, how, in what way are they picky is really what it comes down to. Like, uh,
Yeah, like their costume, the way they look, how they like to be
yeah,
shot.
because the best thing you can do is try, like, if you know someone's picky, just trying to understand that before the shoot, and know what they're going to be picky about, because that would help a lot. That said, that's often I think often cases you're not going to know that the cosplayer uh is picky until you are just like, shit, well, I guess they are picky. um the biggest thing that you can do then and there is just like try and figure out why they're being picky in that situation. Sometimes you aren't going to be able to fully accommodate them, and I think that's something that has to be, I don't want to say okay, but most of the time we're doing shoots for either free or, let's be real, cosplay photography is fairly inexpensive. Like, just do your best, and if the best is less than what the cosplayer is expecting, then that sucks. But you did your best, so you can move on and feel good about it, and I wouldn't worry too much. Um, Authentic Bam asks, this will be the final question unless we have one pop up like real quick here. Is Have you ever given a client back their money?
Yes. Yes.
Both Sarah and I shake your head. Go ahead then.
Um, the whole like what Ari was saying before that we're our own worst critics. I either give back money or reshoot because I'm unhappy with the photos. Um, there have like Katsu last year. I did two shoots, two or three, I think, and I hated them. They were just they're fucking awful. Like I hate them so much. And the cosplayer loved them, and I'm like, I'm sorry, but like I could have done better. It's Katsu. Like this is amateur for me. So I made it up with a free shoot um, at Otakuthon, and like it's night and day, like the photos, like
Yeah,
but never because a cosplayer was upset with their
yeah,
photos. It's
that's
just
super
me.
commendable.
I
And
do it all the time. I can't help it.
yeah, no, I have a hard time like when a cosplayer like misses the shoot and is like, I'm so sorry, like I couldn't make it or whatever their reason was. I've only had that happen twice. And like the inner person in me wants to be like, no, here's all your money back. But at the same time, like I've given up my time and I had been waiting for them and they pay a deposit for a reason. So like
Yeah.
it makes sense. But like the inner like nice person in me still wants to be like, oh, I'm so sorry. Here's your money back anyways. But
I've done that too. Like stuff that
you're
they
just so
can't
goddamn
control though.
Canadian. I love it.
And the thing is, I'm not. Toronto people are mean. People are mean here.
Well, you're
I
not
like the
mean,
states.
so.
Try.
Lou asks the final question, very important, is who's your daddy and what does he do?
Um, Riku is my dad, and I love him. From Kingdom Hearts 3.
That's awkward.
Specifically, because he's of age. So
Oh,
he asked,
God.
he wanted to know.
Some people just don't have appreciation for the classics, like Kindergarten Cop. Okay, let's go back into critiquing some photos, y'all. Um, let's do the photos. Okay,
Ooh, Dante. Sorry.
Okay. Let's stop. Let's stop this. This wasn't supposed to be taken seriously. Abort. Okay, photos critique. Mellow photo. She take photo. Alex critique. That's just gonna be the entire critique as you just going
It's just, if you want to know the definition of
Daddy.
art, that is it.
I thought you were
Like,
gonna say definition of daddy, and I'm like, where's this going?
okay, Bakugo is the worst character of all time.
I wouldn't
I
say the
hate
worst, but
Bakugo.
I very much dislike Bakugo. I'm glad I'm not the only one.
Fucking hate him so much. But this photo makes him. I have very conflicting feelings about this photo.
um,
I'm sorry, but I hate Kachan. He's the worst. I hate him. Deku, best boy.
don't disagree with that, even slightly.
Right. It's just so good. I love this fucking photo so much. So much.
All right, so I have some thoughts on it. If I actually have it up on my screen, it's like looking at it in like the tiny thumbnail to the right. Um, so
I could look at it all.
I think what sells me on this photo is the dodge and burn. Like the overall like luminosity and the dodging and burning is really lovely. The color grading is nice, but I actually don't think that's what I love about this shot. I think it's the dodging and burning. Like the lighting just is really nice look to it. It's got those kind of lifted blacks that but doesn't feel like you're losing contrast, so it just really makes this a really cool looking shot. I feel like maybe the highlight on the side of the nose is a bit aggressive. It just feels like I lose a little detail on his nose. It makes it look a little flat there. Um, uh, yeah. I really like the cyans and the highlights, as Sarah also said. Um, it's like this weird unnatural look that can look really cool. Like I really dig it in here. Um, uh, like some of the grunginess looks really cool in the shot. Like whatever's going on in the front right of this photo, though, the bottom right corner, like I don't know what's going on, but it kind of looks a little gross to me.
I love it.
Like
I
I just
love it.
don't know what it is. It looks like just a little like a little too grungy. Like so yeah, so, Malice says it's rotten. Yeah, it looks like just some rotten bullshit. It just looks a little gross. I kind of wish that part of the photo wasn't there. Um, the other thing that bothers me about this photo, and this is nitpicky a little bit, but the door and the sign in the back right of the photo just look a little wonky to me.
True.
Um,
True.
yeah. Um, I have a um couple other nitpicky things. Back right, I don't know what's going on with like the top right corner, but there's just like a weird line that's like digital noise that's come out of it from like some sort of editing. I'll screen share so you guys can see it.
Oh,
Oops. Like it's this
yeah.
line. I don't know what caused that, but there's just like this weird like line, jaggy line here. I have no
Mhm.
idea what the heck's going on there. And it's probably just an artifact from like playing around with contrast and colors and stuff, but it's just kind of funky and my attention gets drawn to it for whatever reason. Um the other thing that bothers me and is only something Malice said it was sloppy desaturation. Don't be sloppy. Don't be sloppy. Come on, Mallow. Submitting this for critique. we'll catch that sloppiness. The other thing I think about this photo is that it has been over sharpened, and you're getting a ton of sharpening on the grain. Like we're not like the sharpening isn't happening along the edges; it's like happening in the texture, and it just looks a little wonky. Like just like too much sharpening has been applied to it. Um, I'd really just tone down the sharpening a little bit on it. Um, but that's me personally. It's one of those things that like though at regular viewing distances you never will notice, so it doesn't much matter. But I feel like if you were to like either print this or post it as high resolution, like if I view this at 100% scale, like it's it's just like too much like sharpening going on there. Um, I think this is also the case. Like it was selectively applied. Like I don't think that it's not nearly as sharp in the background area, so the sharpening was
Mhm.
probably brushed on. But like to me, where you want to sharpen then is along the edges of things. Like, and you should be painting out the sharpening like on the cheeks. Like you don't need it there. You just want it along the edges. Um, uh,
I love the grain to
it's
this
not it's
image.
not grain though. It's sharpening. I will fight
Yeah,
you.
I like it though.
No, it's
I
bad.
like
It's
it though.
bad.
I like I don't mind it at all. Like
I
it
don't
really
know.
does not bug
To
me
me,
whatsoever.
it just screams artifacting to me. Like it's not. That's the thing. Like I have no problem with grain. Um,
Because it's sharpening grain.
yeah, but
Yeah. So,
it's not grain. It's grain that's been sharpened. Like
oh
if it was
yeah.
just grain, that's fine. But like it's just been sharpened a bit too much. Like grain doesn't have edges. Like that's not how grain is supposed to work in photos. And the sharpening just
Yeah,
gives
that's true.
edges to the grain. And I think it's just a bit too strong. Like tone it down a little bit, you're fine. I like once again nitpicky, and you're viewing this at like just regular any place online, you're never gonna notice any of that. So
We're like zooming in.
I'm the kind of person that get like with my own photos, I judge them at like 100% view. So like that's where I'm at with it with things.
Yeah, I
Uh,
like zoom in to like things that you would never notice.
yeah. Uh, um uh Valerdra, I can't pronounce it. It is not yet. We will be getting to that photo. I believe that is photo number 10, and we are on number 7, so very soon. You guys got any other thoughts on this one? I really like it overall, though.
I love it. I wanted my phone background, but it's Kachin.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Sarah, you got any thoughts on this one? Any final thoughts you want to tell us about? Share with the class.
Wow.
Sarah says it sucks. Moving on.
I like it.
I tried to do
I
my
liked
best.
the accent
Sarah.
you gave her too.
Yeah, I tried to do my best Sarah impression. It was bad, but I tried. Okay, let's move on to the next photo. This one is from Ara. And this was taken by her boyfriend, but edited by her, and she's the cosplayer. I will read the comment because I know specifically she was asking for something with this one. The photographer is my boyfriend, Smooth, and I edited the photo with his consent and input. We're new to photography/editing and would love to continue to improve. I know every photo can be taken further, but I struggle how to put my finger in exactly how this can be taken further, which is why I'm submitting it. I do not own Lightroom, or software besides a torrent of CS6. Oh yeah, it brings me back to the good old days of torrenting Photoshop. Oh yeah. Hey, that's fine. That is fine. You've got CS6. You can do whatever you want. There's not all that much that current Photoshop has that CS6 is doesn't have. Yeah, you're fine. CS6 can
completely fine.
Can do a lot. And no, there is absolutely no shame in torrenting because Photoshop's freaking expensive, and Lord knows, almost all of us have pirated it at one point or another. I pirated it for probably like a decade before I started buying it. Or should I not be saying that? I didn't say anything, guys. I've always been a proud purchaser of Adobe products. Okay, let's talk about this photo. You're starting off on this one? Or no, I'm starting off. I don't remember how this works. I'm starting off.
Yeah. I've lost track.
Yeah, I've lost count. I'll start off. I'm pretty sure that's right. I'm even numbers. So I think I very much know where you're having problems with this photo, but let's kind of go overall. I like the color grading. I think it's really cool. I wish the shot was taken a little lower. I think someone in chat said that before. Oh, and then Sarah as well. Sarah says, "I wish I could talk." I know how to explain it. Sarah, Sarah, let me be your voice. You type in chat. I will talk. But I wish it was a bit lower. I think it kind of this angle foreshortens you a little bit, which Lord knows Ara. I think higher, like Ara doesn't need to be shortened. No offense.
This big.
Ara is a tiny person, and we love her. For me, where this photo falls flat is it's a luminosity problem. So let me try and explain this. So like so much of this photo is living like in the mid-tones in terms of like brightness. Like there is very little detail on either end of the spectrum. Like all of the color and contrast information is in the middle of the histogram. Let me see if I can pull this and screen share it here. So oh god, there we go. So if you look at it, you've got this like peak like at the shadows, which is literally just like this area. But like the rest of this photo is just like histogram wise is living in like this section, and it's a real flat curve, and there just is not that much like brightness and contrast going on, and it makes it for a very kind of like flat feel. Like the cosplay doesn't pop out from the background, doesn't pop out from the flowers. Like you're really only counting on like colors to kind of separate these, because they're all very much the same luminosity difference. Um, and I think that's really where this photo could use an improvement. Um, uh, Sarah said, it's unfortunate this alleyway is pretty narrow. It's hard to get distance unless you have a super wide angle lens. Yeah, agree. Like, ideally, you'd want to be stepped out a little bit further from that the plant life there. And what? Were you saying something, Alex?
I said, oh, I thought you were gonna say if her come back from the wall, the bush.
Yeah, either it's like one of those things. Like there's only one of two things that I feel like for like plants. It's either you want separation from it, or you want to be as in it as possible. And
Very true.
yeah, so I think this one you just need a little bit more separation from those plants. Um, Sarah says, I think the other issue is that there's so much detail being brought forward in the wall and the bushes. So there's a lot of competing elements in the photo. That's something I think I was trying to get at, but didn't explain very, very well. I was like mentioning luminosity, but I think Sarah hits on it there. Is that there's just so much contrast in here. Something I always like to do, there's two ways that I do something here. I should share this one in chat. I forgot that I was doing that. Number one is the squint test. So that this is like the basic form of it, is where you take a photo and you squint at it and you kind of like try and figure out what pops up. If you want to do an easier version of that, we'll go back to my screen here. Is we'll duplicate this layer. We'll go to filter, blur, Gaussian blur, and we're going to turn this up a ton. So like, yeah, about 50 or so pixels. And we are going to desaturate this layer. And I want you to be able to tell me where the subject is of this photo. Let me see if I can't shift this over a little bit so you can see it better on stream. This is a very good way of really kind of figuring things out, because like right now, like really the only thing I can see that pops out is like right here, the cosplayer's leg, and like there's like this section versus like this section. I couldn't really tell like if there was a difference there, and this is just a really good way to figure out kind of like, obviously color is going to help separate things, so don't get me wrong, you can separate things very well with saturation and color and whatnot. However, this is I find the best tool to figure out like whether or not like the luminosity is popping or not.
Yeah.
So once again, like this is just a rough way to see it. Like I normally never actually go this far. I just squint at my screen and try and see if I can tell that way. But I think this is especially just an easier way to explain it. So like, you turn it on and turn it off and you go, okay, that kind of makes sense. It just helps to remove all the minor details and lets your brain focus on shapes and that whatnot. So okay, there was my little explanation. Hopefully that helped understand things a little bit better. I don't know if I did a great job of explaining it, but hopefully. It said I do like the color direction of this photo. I think what I'd like to see is those shadows. Like you have those lifted blacks, but there isn't really much of color in those lifted blacks. Like if you brought like a blue into those, that would be nice.
Ooh, yeah, that would look nice.
I'm not really sure, 100% sure, but it looks like there was some sort of like gradient coming in from the top, like some sort of either light or just like a gradient of a yellow color. I don't think you need it for the shot. I think there's enough going on in the shot already that you don't need to add that light coming in from the top. Uh, yeah. Okay, I'll stop talking.
I think you've said everything.
You've said everything, Andrew. You just need to stop talking forever. Um, got any other thoughts on this one, Alex?
She's small and cute.
Can't disagree with that.
And I
That is
can't
a
wait for you to come to
that is a
YetiCon so I can meet you.
solid.
Okay, cool. Think that's it. It's not
Damn it.
that great. It's okay. You're not missing much.
But you'll be there, and Aro will be there, so that's like it'll be fun.
That's true.
Yeah,
That's very. Anywhere I am, it's a great time.
Oh, yeah. See, you're selling it real well. I kind of want to go even more now. That sounds like a really good time. Welcome to.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
Welcome to Cosplay Photo Critique ASMR version. We're gonna be doing this next photo. Okay, I'll stop. Sarah, do you have any opinion on this one? Get any final thoughts? Okay, let's move on to the next photo. Okay, the next photo is from Flashcard Photo. Alex, do you want to start us off on this one?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh no, I picked the wrong. Oops. Oops, I accidentally downloaded it.
Oopsie poopsie.
Damn, I just did the same thing. I'm just gonna
You
pretend.
know what's hilarious is after the ASMR thing, our viewer count went down.
People don't like ASMR.
Noted. Duly noted. Beautiful. Okay, you want to talk about this photo, but not in a creepy ASMR way?
Oh yeah, of course, yeah. Um. Okay, so I love the pose. I love the framing of the photo. Like I like how the they're in between like the Archie thing. Um, I think this is from Kokias, I believe. What's her
Yeah,
name?
yeah.
I can't remember her
I
name.
don't remember. I don't want to remember. I didn't like that show.
Yeah. What the fuck? Okay.
Having problems over there?
How could you not like Kokias?
Oh, don't even get me started on that.
Ah!
People are here for critique, not like Andrew's anime opinions. That's a different
True.
podcast.
They're not valid. That's why. They're not valid. um Euphone, how do you say that? How
Euphemia.
do you say her name? Euphemia. I didn't say it right either. Um no, I really like the pose. I like the framing of the photo. I love how bright it is. Um just because like it's a ball gown, I kind of wish it was vertical to see more of the ball gown.
Yes.
But
Sarah was saying that she also wanted to see more of the environment.
yeah, because I feel like if that archway was like up more and you can see that the whole arch, and her in the middle like that with the whole dress, I think it would complement it quite well.
I agree. I like the shot, but yeah, I do. I
Mhm.
just want to see more.
Yeah,
Like,
for sure. Excuse me. Um, I don't. I like the fact that she's looking away from the camera, and like I like her pose. Her overall pose is nice. I
mhm.
like it. It looks very natural. It doesn't look too overly posed. Um,
Yeah, the smile also is what gets me. Sometimes smiles can look a little fake. This one looks really natural.
yeah. I have to zoom in. God damn! I just downloaded it again.
God damn it, Felix. um, so I would also really have liked to see in the color. Taken a little bit into. I don't want. what am I trying to say? I wish there was more done with the color.
Yeah,
Um, the arc behind her being that like orangish color isn't doing it much for me, especially with the like random like just little blotches of green of trees, and then
hmm,
the pillar that she has her arm resting on, um being kind of duller and desaturated compared to those orange. It just feels like color wise there's just a lot going on. I wish it was just like unified a little bit. Like maybe you could play off like her hair color and bring some like pinks into the background, stuff like that.
I agree with Sarah though. The how she said, I think her skin tone feels a bit off. Her skin tone is kind of has very cool undertones.
Yeah, I think
It's kind of
this
like a
might
little
be a
flat.
case of being like, strongly but backlit photo. Sometimes you can get some weird colors
Hmm.
from that. Um I think that was just the case of that being like backlit. You get that kind of hazy look, and the skin just has some like it's kind of like
Hmm.
not very saturated, as Ara put it, like a bit gray. And
Hmm.
it's very, in some areas it's very red and with its underlying color. In other areas it's a bit more orange, but like some of the red areas go into like the pink color range. Yeah. uh BTSE photo says, I think the warmth from the arc got her skin tone. That's potentially like, especially like underneath her chin. There's like that
Hmm.
super warm color, like just underneath her chin. That's a little weird.
Yeah,
Um, it's probably just the bouncing of the color from the overall environment. So yeah. Um, I kind of wish. So in particular, there's the one tree blob that's like coming on the left side of the photo, right from the arch. Um, that this bad boy right here, that just is driving me nuts. It just is like, I really want that photoshopped out. Like you could just literally paint over that with white. You don't really need to do much, and it just feels super awkward to me. Like none of the other ones, I other like tree areas I like, but they're fine. It's just this one in particular because it's such a dark green compared to the other kind of these lighter yellowish greens, and it's
yeah,
taking up so much space in the background. It just feels super weird. I would just Photoshop it out completely. Um,
I agree.
I would also love to see a bit more contrast and brightness brought to her. She just does have this like very strong backlit feel. Like there's just like her skin tone, or her skins just don't have a lot of brightness on them, especially like if I'm sampling colors. Like um it just feels like she's not popping as much as she potentially could be.
Yeah.
Um Pose wise, I like it. I wish I think I wish her eyes were going a little less up. It looks like she's looking very high off. Like
Oh
maybe
yeah.
maybe just a little bit lower, but that's pretty nitpicky.
Yeah.
Um. Uh. Overall, like I still like the photo. I just think there's a
Mhm.
lot you could do with it
Yeah.
to kind of bring it to the next level without like there's a strong basis here that you can play with. Okay, got any final thoughts on this one, Alex?
Good. Good. Good shot.
Sarah, got any? Got any? Okay, let's move on to the next shot. And this next one is from Goody Cosplay. Um, and I am starting this one off, I believe. Yes. Let me grab that link for all of you in chat. Oh, come on, mouse. Don't be like that. Um, there we go. I really am enjoying kind of the cinematic mood that's going on in this shot. Um,
Mhm.
it's funny because like maybe it's just I'm getting biased towards this, but like when I see cinematic, uh, a photo that feels fairly cinematic, I want to see a landscape orientation photo and not a portrait one. Um,
Mhm.
that very, very well could be just me applying my own bias to that. So um, don't 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 read into that too hard. Yeah, they got to get that 16:9 crop, yo. Um, the lighting, I'm pretty sure this is flashed. Like has that flashed look to it, but it's really nice because you get this really strong highlight along the side of the like the gun and the cosplay that helps pop them out of the photo. I wish there was a little less spill of it onto the background there. I think this is flashed. It looks like it's flashed. Maybe it isn't. Um, uh, but I just wish there was less lighting hitting that background so it felt a little bit more dramatic.
Mhm.
Um, I think the lighting probably wouldn't work nearly as well if this was like a not armored cosplay, but since it feels like it's not like a super hard light, but it's not very soft either, and that can work really well for armor related stuff. It just makes a really nice edging on there. Where I want to see this photo taken further is absolutely in the color area. I think there's so much cool stuff you could do with this photo color wise. You have a really solid basis, but it doesn't look like there's been a ton of color grading that has gone on in this photo. You've got
Mhm.
all these greens and yellows going on, and in general, I'm not a big fan of kind of the bright saturated yellows that you kind of get in these areas of like brightly lit foliage. And I think playing around with those colors, like bringing them, desaturating them, and making them a little darker and a little cooler, you could get a really cool looking shot with this.
Yeah, I completely agree with that.
Yeah, no, it's neat. I love how the lighting in this pops the gun out of the photo though, because sometimes
Mhm.
in shots like these, the prop can like sometimes take away from the photo. But here, I think it's what's selling the photo. It's like there's this really nice compositional element where you've got this triangle formed by you've got the tree, um, you've got the barrel of the gun that flows kind of around, like there's kind of the reflection and like the edge of the water back into the tree. There's just like that really nice triangle that you get that creates like a nice focal point on the cosplayer. It's compositionally, I think that this photo is really solid.
Yeah, for sure.
um
I agree with the yellow stuff, though. Like, if those were toned down and like a lot more blues
mhm.
to make even the cosplayer pop even more.
Yeah, no, totally, because like there's the specific area like uh what I'm thinking, let me grab it so I can show screen share. Oops. So it's really in like this area, like right here, and then a little bit of like right here, where I feel like just the brightness of the color and the saturation is just like fighting with the cosplayer. And if you tone that down, the cosplayer would be able to pop out of the photo even more.
Yeah.
Um,
I agree with Sarah though. Like Halo's very like desaturated, grungy, like cooler tones. So I feel like they could have gone like crazy with the color grading to match more of that Halo feel. Like it's still pretty sick, but like trying to match it from the game, making it like super grungy and like mysterious kind of, I guess. That
yeah,
makes sense.
no, It's one of those shots where like I dig where it is so much right now, but I feel like
Yeah,
it's got the ability to go a lot of places. So I'd be excited to see where the color goes in this. Um,
yeah. I mean, I haven't played Halo since like Halo 4, so
I haven't played Halo since like Halo 1.
yeah, we
uh,
know what we're talking about.
cool. Okay. Any other thoughts on this one?
Oh my god, Sarah turned into a ghost.
Sarah, you got any final thoughts on this one, or you just turned into a ghost?
Ghost now.
Yeah, totally agree, Sarah. Thanks for that
Yeah,
solid in point. Everyone agrees with what you just said. It's great insight. Yeah. No, totally, Sarah. Like that's beautiful advice. Couldn't agree more.
yeah, 100%.
Okay, let's move on to the next shot before I make this podcast any more stupid.
Oh my god.
Whew, okay. Let's move on to this next photo. This one is from David Roth or D Roth Photographia. Alex, do you want to start us off on this one?
Yes.
I'm just waiting for the
Uh,
one time you're just gonna be like, no, actually, I'm not
I'm
gonna do
not
this
ready.
photo.
And no, I actually really, really love this photo. The colors are gorgeous. I love so much. The themes are blue. I love, I love this costume. I love the blues.
I dig the
I
colors in this
like.
shot too. Oh, excuse me.
I love how the blues are still have that like it's kind of like a tealy, so it
Yes.
still has those undertones of warm tones, so it matches like the yellows and the red there. I It's amazing color grading. I really, really love it. I love the pose too. I don't know what it's from. Does it say what it's from?
Let me check, but I do not believe so. Give me a one moment here. Loading. No.
It's probably is it that's that mobile game. I think it's like
Omnioji.
yeah, it gives me that feel.
Yeah, I could agree with that.
I do agree with Sarah though. I wish it was just a bit more to the right.
Yeah, compositionally, I think it needs just a little bit more work. I think the pose also feels a little odd. Just like having both the arms up like this feels like a little weird. Like I think you have the
Yeah,
one
you wouldn't
one
have.
arm up with the lantern. I think that other one you could have down. Um,
Uh, I think her head position is a bit off too. Like I know with um, chin and necks, especially because there's not too much like I guess shadow. It kind of blends
yeah,
together. So she kind of is like this. So having like pushing out her neck more or like trying to show off the jawline, so it would make her look like kind of like a uni neck person. I don't know how to explain it.
Unineck. Yeah, I think that'd be just a case of like kind of forcing the jawline out more could
Yeah,
help even. Um, something that
that cosplayer's makeup though
yeah.
is
Oh yeah, no, the makeup's nice.
on
I
the
re I
eyes.
really love the glitter on the neck too. Like the just
Yeah,
kind of
I actually
sparkle.
really like it.
That's really nice. Um uh I would say that something that who's Validra said, hopefully if I'm pronouncing your username wrong over the course of this chat or this stream, I'm sorry, but it was gonna happen. Um, there's kind of that like hot spot in the bokeh in the background, like right above her hand. that feels
Oh
like a
yeah,
bit
yeah, yeah.
jarring. It's like the kind of like the brightest, like weirdest spot in the photo, and I kind of wish like maybe even Photoshop that out and kind of because right now it's to me the only area of the background that's calling attention. Um, so that man, I really like this shot. So it's like
I do
yeah,
too. The Okay, this is gonna probably be a little bit nitpicky because I can't stop
it's fine.
staring at it. Um,
Nitpicky is what we're about.
the the V of her costume, the
But
red on the
by her chest.
yeah, the
Yeah.
red by the left side is blurry because I think you edited something, especially by the hair,
Oh
and then
yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
go you go to the right near her hair. There has been some editing. You can tell like you took the patch tool or the clone tool to clean up the edges. It's I would have
So
gone even more detailed just to get rid of that 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 fuzzy line because you can tell you've edited. But
yeah.
like those, there's like weird
So
little
you're
fuzziness.
I think you're talking about this area, right? If you look on the stream. Um Probably like behind a few seconds, but I think that's what we're talking about. I think that's artifacting from frequency separation. Um
Oh
where
yeah,
you've done like smudging on the low frequency layer
yeah, where
and
you just gone way
yeah
too over.
the color has bled past the lines. I know that because I failed there, and I feel like I noticed there's some haloing like around here that's very similar to that along this line. So just something to watch out for. It's pretty nitpicky and honestly not very noticeable. Um, but you know, some of us are the kind of ridiculous people that are anal enough to notice that. um, uh, I also
Looked
maybe
good.
like now that I'm zoomed in, I would have maybe spent a little bit more time cleaning up the skin texture, especially around the highlights on her cheekbones. But uh,
And the lipstick
yeah,
too. Just patched it
Sarah
up a
also
little
I
bit.
believe mentioned that the she wishes the lipstick was cleaned up a little bit. I would echo that. Um, all that said, it like the mood of this photo like is
I
just
love it.
really lovely. It's kind of unorthodox colors. I feel like it's a color palette that I haven't seen very often with like teals and
Mm.
orangey like yellows. Um, when I say it that way, that makes it sound like teals and oranges from highlight shadows is something that you see all the time, but that's not really what the shot is about. Like it's not teal
Like the
shadows and orange
prominent.
highlights. Like it's just using that in its color palette, and it's really interesting, and I dig it.
Yeah, it's pretty sick. I love it.
Okay, got any final thoughts on this one or
Um, yeah, you know the pom poms near her hair on the right hand side? Is
yeah?
that part of her wig? Like the blue? Is that part of her wig?
I think it's part of the headdress thing.
No, underneath the pom poms, it goes blue and then white into the wig.
Oh yeah, no, I think that's just like trailing off of the palm.
Oh, okay, yeah. I was like, is that a wig? Nah, I'm
All
good. I'm good.
right, let's move on to the next shot. Unless Sarah's got a final thing she wants to say on this one. She's like, I want to go to bed, Andrew. Hurry it up. Okay, don't worry, Sarah. This is a final shot. We'll be done real soon. You go sleep. Thank you for being a trooper.
Cheeky baby.
Uh she's like just falls asleep on this photo. This photo is from Bombay and I believe I'm starting this one. Okay, hold on. Let me grab the links real quick. And shit. Okay. Do. Okay. Um yo people, you got that Dutch angle emote? You know what to do. God. Um so I've done my Dutch angle rant so many times. Uh, it's not. It's such a hard Dutch angle at like 45 degrees. Um, I just don't know why. I just don't understand in this photo. Normally I have
Yeah.
problems with Dutch angles when there's horizon lines because that then it makes a photo feel like crooked to me. Um, but to me right now, I feel like this one just confuses me. Like it just feels like tilty for tilty's sake. I could be wrong, but I'm not reading anything in the composition that I feel like speaks otherwise to me. Um, that said, I really like the color tones in this. I like the blues in the background. Um, I like how the light from the that like lamp on the side is lighting Spooderman. Like the flowers are kind of an interesting touch. It's like, telling a story. This is the kind of thing where I'd love to see a full photo set.
Mhm.
Um uh that way you could like understand the context of it. Like as a single photo, like it feels a little weird, but maybe like with more context, it would make a lot of sense. Um
Yeah.
uh that compositionally, I'd like to see this photo. Like I really like the lighting that's coming off that lamp there. I kind of wish it wasn't in the photo though, because it's this bright spot on the right of the photo that's like my eyes keep on visually being drawn to. I would love to see it where that was out of the shot, and you could just like have it um where you have the lighting without the eyeball. It's being drawn by the
Mhm.
brightness to it. Um uh yeah, the light on the mask looks really good. Actually, I feel like the lighting plays really well with the mask. It like gives it like almost this three-dimensional depth look that it doesn't actually
Yeah.
have, which I think is really neat. Like
It
the,
looks
the
like it's kind of like animated.
yeah, like it's just a really nice look with the light on the mask. Trying to think if I have anything else to say on this one. I just keep on turning my head sideways. Like I'm doing this. You think you would think I'm doing this to be like a smartass or something, but I'm really not. This is just what happens with like Dutch angles in me, where I'm just like, I just like need to get context for it with my brain. Like it's stupid, I know, but that's where I am. Uh, um, Yeah, no, all that said, I still think it was Bombay. I knew you'd hate the angle. I was ready. I don't hate it. I just dislike it. Yeah, I think the other thing to me, like with the given the angle, I think if you'd shot this like normal upright, you could more easily crop out that light and not have it in the photo. Um, I also think maybe the flowers having them at just like a bit of a different angle so you could maybe see it just a bit more of the cosplayer um and like maybe see like a bit of the hand instead of just like the very end of the flowers all bokeh out. um that feels pretty nitpicky, but I think the colors and the lighting are really what pull it together for me though.
Yeah. I just love the way the mask looks. Like
Yeah, no, I
it
agree with
legit
you.
looks like cartoon. It looks so sick.
Absolutely.
I would I would though clean up that little bit like black or dent or whatever in the eye just to
Oh
make it.
yeah, I didn't even notice that until now. Wow. I'll zoom in for chat here. This just like little tiny area. It's kind of a pain because there's that repeating texture in there that's falling out of focus.
Yeah.
So that would be a little bit annoying to fix, but it shouldn't be too bad. Um, doing the squint test again, and I think also maybe if you just tone down the brightness on the flowers a little bit because they're just like a bit bright
It's like
compared to
they're the main
Spider-Man.
focus.
Yeah. And I mean they should be a
You kind
strong
of
focus point, but maybe not so
yeah.
much stronger than Spooty. Um Mallow, a complete opposite of what I just said. Lord. Well, that's why this is not an exact science. This is
Yeah.
just opinions. um cool. Have any final thoughts on this one?
No, I'm good.
Sarah? Just mm-mm. Well, awesome. Thank you guys all for submitting photos. Hopefully the feedback was useful. And keep in mind though that yeah, what we're saying is in fact take it all with a grain of salt. And if you like a photo and you like something about it that we said was that we didn't like about it, that doesn't make it wrong. So, like, if you really like the angle of that Spooderman photo, that I could just be the wrong person. So,
Mm-hmm.
don't don't
Mm-hmm.
don't take our criticism like it's law.
Yeah.
Because Mallow says I'm wrong. So yeah. Huge thank you to everyone in chat for critiquing along with us, especially in uh, the situation of Sarah not being able to talk along with us. Hopefully her voice will be back by the next critique. That'd be real awkward if it was still gone. She's just like, no, I'm gonna get a whiteboard. That's all I'm gonna do from now on is just to write comments on a whiteboard behind me. Yeah, as always, if you have a photographer that you would like to see on the stream, please submit them. I'm gonna try and get the my buttons don't work anymore. I had buttons that were going to automatically post to chat, but they just like stopped working for me. Um, let me do this. Okay, so if there's a photographer or a cosplayer that you'd love to see on the stream, please feel free to suggest them there. I just pasted the link to it in the chat. If you enjoyed the stream, which I hope you did, please consider subscribing or donating. Both go a long way in helping us continue doing this and just are greatly appreciated. They're by no means mandatory, but they do fill our heart with joy. So BTSE wants Obama on here. I'll see what I can do, see if I can pull some strings. I know Obama's real big into cosplay photography, so like he'd be great to have on as a guest. um so yeah, and a huge thank you to Con Mom Photography for coming on this episode. It was great having you back.
Thanks for having me.
Especially since you had to pull more duties than normal with Sarah being out of commission.
It's okay. It's the Canadian way.
um so Alex, where can people find your work?
Why did I freeze up? Instagram, Facebook. I'm mostly on Instagram. Conmom Photography. I've been trying to Twitter more because that's where all the cool people are. I think I'm Conmom Photo on Twitter. That's where you can find me.
Awesome. Um do. And
I love
normally this is
everybody.
the point where I'd ask Sarah where you can find her stuff, but I'm gonna say you can find her on Instagram, and it's Sorairo-Days on Instagram.
And Twitter.
Find her there. No, she tells me that she shit posts on Twitter, so like don't follow her on
Oh.
Twitter. She doesn't care about that. Something like that. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's what she normally says. She's like, "Fuck Facebook," and yeah, that's about her normal spiel. Um, uh, uh, somebody once told me donated $10. Thank you so much, somebody. It's greatly
Cool.
appreciated. Thank you so much. Um, yeah, and to submissions. I posted a submission link as well in the chat. Um, but final reminder: if you have Amazon Prime, that means you have Twitch Prime, which means you have one free sub every month. And if you're not using it, you're just giving that money back to Jeff Bezos, and he doesn't need it. He doesn't need it. You need to be using that sub and give it to one of your favorite streamers. And I would greatly appreciate it if it was me, but I totally understand if you wanted to give it to other streamers, but just don't give it back to Jeff Bezos. He does not need it. um, uh,
True.
I actually think I was like, I think my chat bot totally died this chat or this stream. I was looking and I'm like, I don't think I've seen any of my normal like pop-ups from my chat bot in this stream. So I'll have to look into that, but hopefully that'll get fixed up. As always, thank you everyone for just Mallow Nightbot is a hoe. Thank you everyone for being here. Thank you for commenting along with us. The next stream will be on March 7th. So that's 2 weeks from today. If you are interested in, get your submissions in now, because we had a bunch of carryovers from this critique that didn't make it in. So if you're interested in having your photo in the next one and you want to be sure, just like submit now. We will have Felix or FX Dandy will be joining us for this next critique. He's one of the hardest working cosplay photographers I know. He goes to so many goddamn cons and does so many shoots. I think oh god, I don't remember how many he did at KatsuCon this year, but I want to say he did like 30 page shoots. Yeah.
Jesus
Yeah,
Christ.
Sarah's confirming this.
Ugh,
And yeah, that's
31.
I don't even know how you can do that. He's like 31. Don't forget that one. I worked hard at that one extra, which is freaking insane. And I don't know how Felix isn't dead, but yet he's not dead, and he's going to be on the next episode. So you should submit to that because he's an awesome dude, and he'll be here along with us critiquing. And with that, I think we're ready to call it a night. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you, Con Mom, for being on here. And I'm trying to think of a good like slogan that I can wrap it up with. I've been thinking about that because I'm just like always like awkwardly like goodbye. So what I'm gonna steal from another podcast I listen to for now is think about what you put out into the world and make it a better place. Good night.
Bye.
Bye.